behalf of the team that is leading the Community Input Board, my name is Marcia Kim Jackson, and I live in West Fairmont Hill in Hyde Park. I've lived in this community for about almost 30 years now, and I'm thrilled to be a part of this community. I sought this community out to live here, and I love it here and love the people that are here. And that's why, together with Lakita and Marlon, I've been helping to support the development of the Community Input Board, which seeks to get your voices into the work of shaping Hyde Park to be the community that is really inclusive and welcoming and warm for everyone. And so this morning, our agenda is pretty direct. 4 things we want to do. The 3 things we want to reconnect us to each other and to what we did last spring. April, spring, last spring, hot spring. Spring is a wide time. And we came together, as you know, this is our 2nd time together. We came together to really get coalesced and get some basic foundational thoughts together about how we want to see the community move forward. We have those ideas, and this time we're going to connect to that practice and build on it. We also want to share ideas together about how we build on those foundational thoughts from last year. And then we're going to, the 3rd thing, we're going to plan some next steps. So that's our foundational work today. We're here till 1:30. In just a few minutes, maybe less than that, our mayor will join us to give us remarks, along with City Councilors Ruth Z. Lujan and Ricardo Arroyo and Julia Mejia, and State Representative Brandy Fluker-Oakley will be here as well to say hello to us. So what that means is that people are committed to our work. They are invested like we are. And so I want to say to you, as you're looking around the room, in a few minutes we'll do a roll call, let me ask you to please give yourselves a round of applause for being here. Yes. And not because you're doing something great, but because there are people in this community. By the way, there are 33,000 residents in Hyde Park. Let that sink in for a second. 33,000 residents. There are about 25 of you in the room today. What does that say about you? That's why you're applauding yourselves. Because people love this community, but they won't step out to shape it. And you have done that. It's a brave piece of work. It's laborious. It's committed work. It's work that says you love the community. Thank you for being here. Let me step away and give our co-leaders a chance to say hello. And then I'll come back in a little bit. Lakita and Marlon, stage is yours.
Thank you, Marcia. And so, why are we here today? She's already described. I'd like to just give us a glimpse as to how we got here. And so, the Community Input Board of Hyde Park was established in October of 2020 as a result of the outcry against largely unwanted development in Hyde Park, in particular the Burger King that's on River Street. And so from that, one of the civic leaders, Helena Tong, had organized a meeting in February of that year. And during that meeting, the idea of having a community advisory board was brought up, and everyone bought into it, including the developer. COVID hit, and everything halted. And then fast forward to October, and we said we need to get this up because development is just going to keep pressing on. And we want to help shape what goes on in our community and have a voice. And so we organized and gathered together, as Marcia said, myself, Marcia, Marlon, and Helena, her neighborhood organization, East River with Barbara, as well as the Boston Prep School, Sharon, who's the former executive director, as well as Councilor Royal's office. We all gathered together and started the CIB, Community Input Board. Fast forward, we have enlarged our territory, if you will, meaning we're looking at more than just the development in that area around the shops at Riverwood, but why not all of Hyde Park? Why not all of us come together? Why not all of us work together and collaborate to shape the Hyde Park we want to see? And so that's where we are today. We're together, collaborating, shaping the Hyde Park we want to see. And so we expect to work with each other, all the public officials, law enforcement, churches, schools, organizations, and agencies let's do this thing, right? And so that it's not happening to us, it's happening with us. And we're front and center as the voices of all the different stakeholders, businesses and community groups, residents, as well as the churches, schools, and so forth. I like to say whether you live here, play here, pray here, eat here, travel through here, you have a seat at the table. And so that's why we're here, so that every voice matters and counts, and everybody has a seat at the table of decision making in Hyde Park. Thank you. We look forward to hearing from you.
What's going on? Nice to see everybody here this morning. My name is Marlon, as you know. Well, some of you don't know me, but I'm the founder of the African American Academy. Check, check, check. Can you hear me? That's better. That's better. It's a little height. So, yeah, so I want to thank everybody for coming out here today. My role in this process has been mainly to support the research and development, the data analysis, and just generally all the work that we do. This is data driven. This is not just us coming together to put together an event to make people talk about it. We want to do something about it. So like I said, we're a local nonprofit here in Boston. We do research development in cultural diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as restorative project management, which is the project management that builds community, repairs harm, and promotes inclusivity. I want to start, I just want to say a little quote, because today we're here to do a roadmap to the beloved community. Right? That beloved community we know is Martin Luther King's dream, where he saw people, his children, joining hands with people of other races in harmony. So the quote is, "The end is reconciliation. The end is redemption. The end is the creation of the beloved community. It is in this type of spirit and this type of love that can transform opponents into friends. It is this type of understanding, goodwill, that will transform the deep gloom of the old age into the exuberant gladness of a new age. It is this love which brings out the miracles in the hearts of men." Martin Luther King said that in a Christmas sermon. But we're here today because there's an intersection between his dream and urban planning. Right? We're talking about a beloved community, so that community needs to be designed. What do we want to put in that design? What are the kind of facilities that we would like the building and development to facilitate? That is why we're here today. To build on what we did last year, because a lot of people came last year and a lot of people put in a lot of good work. So please understand, you are part of a continuation of a process. This is not the beginning and it's definitely not the end. All right? So I'm going to give you a little bit about what we've done so far. I specialize in redlining, urban renewal, and that kind of studies to see how it affected the cultures in Boston, going from the indigenous African American community. 60% of Roxbury and South End was destroyed in the 60s. And we have the building of Chinatown was cut in half by I-90. We have the destruction of the West End by Government Center. We also have 68,000 Jewish community members were pushed out of the Mattapan area in the late 60s. All right? This is how the ethnicities in Boston, the culture of Boston has changed because of the infrastructure. That even ties into the moving of Dudley, the Dudley Orange Line to Roxbury Crossing. So our research is based on what was going on in segregation during those days, and what was the culture, right? And these independent, multicultural communities, because Boston has always been one of the most multicultural cities in the whole United States of America. We need to be proud of that. That is what we inherited, and that's what our legacy is built on. Right? So now here in Boston, we have some food. Like she said, we started out in 2020 with this work. Started seeing that they put a Burger King next to Boston Prep Charter School. My son and daughter attended that school, and we were not informed. Like she said, that was done to us. We were not brought along the process. Now, we don't know why the developer left. We're not going to know why he left. But that's not the attitude we want. We want developers to come into our community because Hyde Park is always open for business. We just want to work with this business. All right, so we did that. We put a cultural nutrition program into the school to educate our young people on cultural cuisine and some of the great restaurants we have here. We've been working with Northeastern University and our service learning department to develop out the community benefits agreement, which is available for download on our website. But yes, that work was done to find a roadmap. What are some of the tools we can use as a community to try and influence what developers are doing in our community? And that was Marilyn really helped me out get that started. So it's a real family affair in here. Finally, we're here today to carry on that work. Add your voices to the voices that happened last year, right? And we want to thank you for attending this 2.0, but we want to please urge you to be, let's be honest with our history, with our inherent past, all right? Let's really be truthful to ourselves and our inherent past, because if you don't know where you were coming from, you can't know where you're going, all right? Let's be fully aware of our collective present situation, all right? And finally, let's be hardworking and dedicated to all inclusive Hyde Park. Thank you very much.
Now, before we have Marcia and then ultimately Jose come up here, I just wanted to plan to add this. We did a pre-event survey because we really wanted to hear from you all. Let's celebrate what's going on in Hyde Park over the last year or two. And so quite a number of people responded. And then we also want to give space to business owners who have been here for some years and those who have popped up in recent year or two and give them space to speak as well. Thank you, sir. That's family love, right? Just loving on each other, right? And so I just want to recognize, we heard from you, Hyde Parkers sharing. And so what people shared, overwhelmingly, so many people responded that the businesses have increased here. A lot more restaurants, a lot more diversity. People have just raved about the opening from Park 54 to Roundhead to Canvas Studio. People love the fact that Zaz is just multiplying itself even beyond Hyde Park. And so really excited about all the new things that are happening in Hyde Park. And so people are looking forward to the tours coming through. I saw a tour bus probably a couple Saturdays ago, and I was like, woo-hoo, we got people dropping off in Hyde Park. So it's exciting. People are recognizing that Hyde Park is a place to be, a place to live, a desirable neighborhood of Boston, and that's exciting. We knew that, right? Some of you who've been here for 30, 40, 50 years. My husband and I moved here in 2007, and I feel like a long timer, even though not as long as some of you, but it is an amazing neighborhood in Hyde Park. And so just hearing and reading the responses from people, just wanted to share and celebrate. A lot has been going on, and then the last major consistent message that came through the survey was people were excited about the coming together of the residents and the community stakeholders. And several people have responded. It was so great to see the different organizations, the civic associations, the businesses, and so forth, all come together. And so here we are. Let's keep building. Let's keep working together. Thank you.
1 second to recognize our student here that's manning all the technology, Kamara. Give it up, Kamara.
And others of you who are in the room, I'm going to do a roll call. And you know, I'm the person who's the timekeeper, so they put me in charge of this really difficult task because there's so many beautiful faces in the room. So I'm going to do this as efficiently as possible. Here's how we're going to do it. When I call the category that you see yourself connected to, just stand up, please. So we're all the steady Eddies and Ediths of Hyde Park, the neighborhood leaders. Neighborhood leaders, where are you? Community leaders, where are you? Stand up, stand up. What neighborhood?
Red Hills, Factory Hill.
Factory Hill, thank you.
I'm in D Street.
D
Street.
D Street, thank you. And
Group
Park and
golf course area, West Street, Southwest Plaza, CDC.
awesome. And
Hyde Park Neighborhood
woo!
Association.
Family Neighborhood Association.
That's funny. Any churches in the room? Churches. Any church representatives in the room? Oh, they'll come. All right. Any school representatives in the room? Schools? Exactly, Barbara. Okay, Barbara's not standing good. All right, let's try businesses. Businesses in the room. We're in the businesses. Stand up. Businesses. This way. Stand up, Craig. What business?
Roundhead Brewing Company.
And their offices and their reps. Woo! And I know the other electeds are on their way. And the last, but absolutely not least, if you are like me, a concerned resident who just said, I'm in it to win it, I'm in it to do the work, just stand up. Just stand up. No small feet. Okay, all right, so Joe's standing up too, kind of sort of. Imagine him standing up. Yay! All right, thank you all so much for being here. And so now the next thing we're going to do before we hear from our mayor is we're going to do something around neighborhood community identity. So I'm going to play a little word association game with you. When I say Disney, what words come to mind? Quickly, shout them out. Florida, Mickey Mouse, all right, yeah. When I say Nike, what do you think of?
Shoes.
Just do it. Athletics, sneakers. When I say, when I say Coca-Cola, what do you think of?
Atlanta.
Coca-Cola, Atlanta, yeah. Red, huh? What do you say? Smile, absolutely. When I say Starbucks, what do you think of? Coffee. Expensive. All right. When I say College Town, what do you think of? Boston. Specifically what? Cambridge, Alston, Brighton. When I say Beach Town, what do you think of? Martha's Vineyard, Cape Cod. Where? Okay. When I say historic, what do you think of? Hyde Park, Massachusetts. Yeah. Let me say this. Those word associations, the things you think of, are not because you think of them. That's intentional. Those are intentionally built identity statements and brands that are poured into us through the media, through word of mouth, because it's intended to create an aura about a space or a thing that will attract you. And what I've always said about Hyde Park is that Hyde Park does not yet have its formed identity. That is to say that so many of you in your corners where you live have an idea about what your community represents, but not one that's in total. And so I want to have us think together in a few minutes, very, very brief, to set the foundations of what we're going to talk about as Hyde Park's brand. Because as a community organizer, I can tell you that having a clear community identity, and you might ask us to read my notes, I'm at that stage, is crucial for several reasons. First, the identity really helps you as a member feel a sense of belonging and pride. And secondly, it gives you a sense that you can have businesses and other people attracted to the area because of that brand, which really also attracts visitors and tourists and more business. And then finally, the brand of our community helps us build a sense of cohesion and unity and serves as a rallying point for events, activities, initiatives, and provide a shared vision of our community. So we want to build on the idea of what our brand is so that others can think about us in a certain way. Why? Because when people come to Boston, I used to work in corporate, and I do some corporate consulting work. People come to Boston, and professionals who make a lot of money come to Boston, and they say, where should I go live? Where do you think the people steer them? Where do they steer them to? JP, thank you. Where else? Brookline, Roslyn. And why? Because of the aura of what? Attractions and safety, right? And no diversity in most places anyway, not all of them, right? The idea that you live in a safe place. So we want Hyde Park to have the brand of, this is a diverse community where you can also have safety, you can also have vibrance, you can also have access to activities. But we create that, people. It doesn't happen by mistake. We create that. I don't care what they tell you, we create that. So we're gonna do that, build that narrative right now. At your tables, I'm gonna ask you to work, you only have 5 minutes. We're not gonna spend a lot of time, it's 5 minutes. Post-it note in front of you. We're gonna have you write down on the post-it note this, the 3 words that come to mind, 3 words that come to mind when you think of Hyde Park. And I really only want you to use 3 words, 3 words. So let's start this table. And give me your, Malika, only 1 word, okay? 1 word. And who's, and can somebody scribe for me? Who's here? Pat, you got any paper in front of you? You got it? Okay. She's scribing, okay. Malika, 1 word. Community, yes.
Quiet.
Quiet. Joe. Welcoming. Lara.
Caribbean, Bostonia.
Wow, 1 word. Caribbean. Yes. Caribbean. Yes, sir. Development. What's your name? Hi, James. Development.
Convenient.
Convenient. Your name? Hi, Valerie. What? Valerie. Sorry. I've been talking to her on the phone all the time. Joan.
Diverse.
Diverse. Joan said diverse. Emily.
Family.
Family. Craig.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Opportunity.
Opportunity. Your name is? Hi, Tina.
Environmentally rich.
Environmentally rich. Another person is not going to take 1 word. Diverse. Diverse. Harriet Tubman.
Green space.
Green space. Unsafe. What's your name? Hi, Maria. Hi, Janice. Nice to meet you. And I'm coming over here to this gentleman over here. The arts. Thank you. What's your name? Anne says convenient. You said arts, and your name is? Jay. Hey, Jay.
You wanna?
Word.
Jean-Claude Sandin,
Jean-Claude.
54 Regiment.
51 Regiment. Jean-Claude 51 Regiment. Your name?
Helena.
I know Helena. What's your word?
Home.
Home. Your word, Marilyn?
It's neighborhood.
Neighborhood. And sir, your community you are. Hi, Randy Hayes. Community and David and
Parking.
Park. Reliable and you are? Veronica says reliable. And my friend Janine.
Open spaces.
Open spaces, my friend Felicia. Accessibility, okay. So when we think about, and we're going to take your post-it notes and your models are taking them from you right now because we're going to build that narrative after this. But just so you know, the words you have named are all coming together as a part of who we are. So Lakeisha's going to summarize them, and I want you to have them just simmer in your brain, because our next gathering, we're going to have a statement about who Hyde Park is. So that we're going to rattle off our elevator speeches. Somebody says, where do you live? I live in Hyde Park, and it's a community of blah, 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 blah. And that's going to sink in. And the more we say it, the more they believe it and we believe it. So, here are the words, and we have the others we're going to use from your post-it notes. Gita? Okay, I'll read them out. Community, quiet, welcoming, Caribbean, development, convenient, diverse, environmentally rich, hardworking, green space. Ooh, someone said unsafe? Unsafe, fine, we'll take it all. Arts and entertainment, open space. So all of those things are language that you have in your brain about Hyde Park. Just think about the impact of that, wherever it lies, positive or negative. What's the impact of that? On your neighbors, on you, and the way you move about in the space. and own that. You own what it means to have community. You own what it means to have an unsafe community. You own that, by the way. If you live here and it's unsafe, you're a part of that. Don't get it twisted. If you want to make
Definition for that, please.
okay, sure. Who said unsafe and who's the definition? Yes, please. Well, we don't want to put people on the spot, but we just want to hear some. We just want to know what you mean by unsafe. When you say unsafe, what do you mean?
There have been, just where I live, 3 robberies in the store down the street from me. There are drug deals happening within 1,000 feet of where I live, to the point where somebody died. You know, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't think it's the safest place in the universe.
Okay. Thank you for that. And listen, y'all, we want to receive what people bring to this room. That's their experience. We're not going to judge it. That's their experience. And as I said, if that is your experience, now you own the opportunity to shift that. You own that. So let's not get twisted. And by the way, just want to say, as I was thinking about, my husband talking about all the shootings that were happening in the world, we're talking about the Hyde Park shootings. And we're like, okay, so what's different about that? Because every place is happening. Holbrook, hello. Randolph, hello. North Shore is the word I want to say slowly, right? So it's happening everywhere, and crime happens everywhere. Why? Ayana President, crime is a function of people's mentality and their sense of poverty in their spirit. That's what crime is. So it's not just poor communities, it's everybody who doesn't have a sense of what it means to be humane and loving and kind. It's all of that. So let's take that into consideration. I thank you so much for your offering this morning. I did say I was going to take a few minutes, and I'm going to move on to our next activity, which would have been the mayor coming to speak, but she's a little delayed. So we're going to jump right into our next activity, which is having Jose Masso. Jose Masso! Come in to the stage to share some words and get us going in our activity.
Good morning. Good morning. For those of you who watch, I move, so I don't know if I'm in front of the camera. I apologize, but you will hear my voice, I hope. Thank you so much, those of you at home watching. Listen, first and foremost, let me say that for us being here today, there are a few things that I hope that we acknowledge. First and foremost, that even though we're here on May 20th, 2023, there's a long history of people who were here before us. Specifically, we have to acknowledge that we are on hallowed ground because the indigenous people of this state of Massachusetts occupied this space before anyone else did. And it's because of them that we have to acknowledge that those ancestral spirits are still with us today to guide us as we make our decisions and suggestions and collaborations this morning. So I just want us to be cognizant that May 20th, 2023 is the day that we're here, but there's a rich history of people before us who laid the groundwork for us to be here. As they say, we are on the shoulders of giants who made it possible for us to continue this great work of community and our beloved community. Are you with me? Yes. Are you with me? Yes. So I'm just going to take a few minutes before I share some thoughts to bring, and let me acknowledge somebody who's here who's one of my heroes. Do y'all know this person here? Do you know this person?
Hi everyone, State Rep Brandy Kluger Oakley. I have parts of Hyde Park, Mattapan, Dorchester, and Milton, and happy to be here. So many neighbors and leaders and folks who care about our community. So thank you, Jose.
Thank you. Love this person. Love this person. We are blessed because we have not only someone like a representative, we have so many leaders, both elected officials, appointed officials, people like you in our community. Hyde Park is rich when it comes to that. I say we are the epicenter of so much power in this community that we should all every day walk proud with our heads up high, knowing that even the challenges that we have are challenges that this community can turn around and make it positive. And it's people like our representatives that make that possible. So I'm going to take just 2 minutes to bring a couple people up, and then I'm going to share some words, and then by that time I think the mayor will be here. April 2022, we gathered here, and there was a young man at that time who joined us, just to listen, just to observe, just to connect. A year later, if you go to the Westinghouse building, which is on the other side, you will see a business called Roundhead. Have you been there? Yes. Have you been there? Yes. Craig Panzer, come on up. I'm going to ask Craig just to take 2 minutes. If you don't know him, this is who he is. He's got a partner who he's going to mention in a minute. Why is it you wound up at the Westinghouse building with this fantastic location that you have now that is thriving in so many different ways? Tell us quickly, in 2 minutes, the story of how you landed and why you landed and how it's going.
Sure. Thank you. I'm humbled to be able to share this story with you all and the mic to me. One story that comes to mind, we, 2 years ago in June, released our first beer at Westinghouse Plaza. We were able to brew it somewhere else, bring it to the house, while we're still waiting for construction. And I guess what I'm here to do is testify to a lot of what has been said already in that popcorn style talk about Hyde Park. So here's a case of beer, bring it to a car, meeting somebody the first time. One of 300 people that invested up to $300 into the brewery. People that I never met, right? The 100 grand that we needed to open Massachusetts' first Latino-owned brewery happened because community came forward and made ends meet for us to build out this beautiful space in Hyde Park. So this woman comes from her car and she comes up to me and she says, I don't even drink beer. I'm just glad that you're here, right? That welcoming spirit as a business owner is second to none, right? Everything else that we heard in terms of being multicultural, what we heard about diversity, what we heard about the green space here in Hyde Park, that's what brought me to Hyde Park. Being able to bike, right? Talking to a mentor, say, hey, wherever you choose for business, make sure you enjoy going there every day. What's that ride like? I can bike here in 15 minutes, right? That makes joy in my day. Less traffic, more being in places with people where I want to be. So I think that spirit of community and our mission at Roundhead, which is cerveza que reúne, beer that brings us together, because that's the point. The beer is the starting point. Pizza, as a starting point, it's nothing without you all there. It's nothing, right? It's that sunset that I'm by myself has so much less meaning. So being able to do that here in Hyde Park and bring people together, that's the joy, folks. And doing it with a team, I see team members in the audience that are here today because they're prideful of Hyde Park. And I hear it and feel it and love it. And proud to get off to the brewery in 5 minutes to open shop.
Thank you. Thank you so much. A year later, if you haven't stopped by, they have great pizza. I don't drink beer, but the pizza is fantastic. And just the ambiance is fantastic as well. But that's one of the assets that we now have in this community. And when you think about assets, think about 4 legs of the stool. What do we have that's nature? What do we have that has been made by human beings? What are the organizations that are civic, social, public, private, and spiritual that make up who we are? That's an asset. Another asset we have right across the street, Early Roberts. Do you know this young man? Have you been into his shop? If you haven't been into his shop, you're missing something good. And it's right here in the center. And again, I'm asking for a few minutes, why here, and how's it going?
Thank you, I appreciate it. Hello everyone. This is my 11th year, so it's been a journey. Definitely when I first opened Zaz, I remember when I came here, I had my awning, black awning, I had the whole interior decorated, and everyone was like, why do you spend all this money in Hyde Park? You should be on like Newbury Street. I'm like, no, I would make my Newbury Street here, you know what I'm saying? So From my background, how I grew up, where I came from, I make the best of everything. So I knew right away I had a concept, I had food that I believe was going to make some noise in the neighborhood and throughout the city. And over the past few years, we've had the opportunity to grow our business. We opened a second location in City Hall. We're on our way to open a third location in Seaport in the next 2 months. We've had the pleasure to have this be the flagship and the original, the mothership location, serving a lot of people of importance, like the mayor, from the celebrities, from athletes, and so forth. So like I take a lot of pride and a passion in what I do, and so it's paying off. I'm grateful for this community.
So we just want to highlight those two, because when all of those notes you wrote about branding Hyde Park, think about all the assets that we have that make this a thriving community. Right across the street we have a bank. Right across the street we have the River Theater Works. Right across, we have so many things we have to think of as how do they enrich this community. This morning when I woke up, I'm going to be 73 in August. 73. God willing, if I'm healthy, I'll celebrate 73 years on earth. And I share this often because I don't take this lightly. I am at the time in my life, and I've been so for a while, where I realize I have more yesterdays than tomorrows. More past than future. I know that. I'm not the young ones. I'm not the bright ones that the long road is ahead. I know that with every single day I've got to embrace my breath wholeheartedly, because I can never assume that tomorrow is guaranteed. So that means that every single morning when I wake up, I'm thankful for the blessings I receive. And I know that every single morning when I wake up, I need to embrace the idea that I'm living a purpose-living life. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the beautiful woman who's next to me, my wife Divina, who's been my partner for 48 years. Who's healthy. The mother of my children, by the way, my youngest son, Jose Fabio, is celebrating his birthday today. So we are in a celebratory mood. I am blessed that every morning she wakes up early, goes downstairs, I sleep, and before you know it, she comes upstairs, quietly lets me know she has a fresh cup of coffee for me, and she gives me a kiss, con sabor a café, which means a kiss with the taste of coffee. That's how she starts off my morning. I just smile and say, Lord, what did I do to deserve this beautiful angel? And the Lord says, whatever you've done, enjoy it. But that sets the tone for me, because what it says to me that the Lord up above and my ancestral spirits who guide me through my journey are giving me these blessings for me to do something with it. So I quickly go into my morning prayer, my morning meditation, which many of you do as well. And I sit there and I quietly ask, may this day be one in which whatever I say, whatever I do, whatever I think, whatever I feel are in sync. Whatever I say, whatever I do, whatever I feel, whatever I think are in sync. Let this be a day where I have an opportunity to engage with other people who are like-minded, of thinking that we want to leave this place much better than what it was when we were born. Much better than it was when we were born. People who are not thinking only about ourselves, but thinking about future generations. The indigenous communities of the Northeast would always make decisions based on 7 generations in the future. They would think, what are we doing today that will impact 7 generations from now? So therefore we have to be cognizant that we have a responsibility for the future. So I ask that I have the opportunity to gather with other people who think that way. What are we doing today that's going to make a positive impact for future generations. And in particular for our children, so that they will be healthy, not just physically healthy, but emotionally healthy, mentally healthy, culturally healthy, intellectually healthy, socially healthy, economically healthy, spiritually healthy. I ask that. And today is that type of opportunity because we've gathered, I think, with the same agenda. And I close my meditation and prayers, taking a deep breath of peace and breathing out love. And I say, Lord, whatever blessings, whatever happiness I receive today, let it not be a consequence of somebody else's misery. Let it not be as a consequence of somebody else's misery. So I share that with you because I believe that the purpose of us being today and the call to action of all of us is to not just think about our Hyde Park of today, May 20th, 2023, but to think about the Hyde Park 7 generations from now. So whatever we come up with, whatever suggestions that might be the solutions to challenges, whatever ideas that might continue to uplift all the great things this community has to have and has, think along the line of how will it impact 7 generations from now? Because like I said, tomorrow's not guaranteed, more past than future, or yesterday's and tomorrow. And so therefore, every single day I'm on earth, like Muhammad Ali said, don't count the days, make the days count. Don't count the days, make the days count. And so we've been asked today to make sure that this day counts. That as a collective, unified, diverse group of stakeholders of this community, what we do today will forge the next steps of our journey. Are you with me? Yes. Are you with me? Yes. Are you with me? Yes. Let's do this with love. Let's do this with respect. Let's do this with transparency and openness to others' ideas, concerns, thoughts, suggestions, because we're here to embrace all of us as being part of the solution, not part of the problem. Are you with me? Yes. Will you say hello to our esteemed, dear City Councilor at large, Ruthie Lujan, who's right there in the house. I'm going to hand the mic back to my dear colleagues here and friends. Huh? That's it. I'm going to keep the microphone. So here's the deal. You can define asset any way you want, but I would like you to take some time now. How much time do we have, Nikita? 10 minutes? Take 10 minutes and put on those pads what you see as being the assets that Hyde Park has. And that can range, like I said, I live right abut Crane Ledge, open space. My wife and I bought our property, our home, 48 years ago? 45 years ago? 45 years ago. 45 years ago we bought our home. Crane Ledge is right behind our home. Open space. That's an asset. That's one of the reasons why we bought that home. So I consider that as an asset. And there are other things. We're standing in an asset, this building, and the infrastructure that makes this building work. The YMCA right next to me, that's another asset. The bank I mentioned is another asset. The businesses, another asset. The schools, you just name whatever comes to your mind as being an asset for Hyde Park. And don't just think Cleary Square, think from the borders of Mattapan all the way to Reedville to J.P. Rosendale. What are those assets? And momentarily we're going to have our Honorable Mayor, who's joined us this morning, Michelle Wu, who's in the house. So one more minute. You can share amongst yourselves what are some of the assets you believe we have in Hyde Park. Thank you. Okay, so here's what I'd like to do before we bring the Honorable Mayor Michelle Wu to the podium. If I can have from each table, one or two folks share with us what are some of the assets that your table has listed, and we'll go around table by table. I'm going to start, since you're closer to me, am I right? Could this table be kind enough to have one or two people just share some of those assets, please? Stand up, introduce yourself, and before you do that, do we have a mic that we can share there, Malcolm? Do we have a mic?
All right, ladies. Alicia.
There you go.
Hello, everyone. We have green space, historic landmarks like the 54 Regiment, bike paths, not on street, and public transportation. Even though we know the MBTA needs to work, there's still great accessible public transportation here in Hyde Park.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Big round of applause for this table, please. Second table down here. Share a few for us. Introduce yourself.
Hi, Marilyn Smith, Park Food. I'm like you. I'm in my final quarter.
There you go, sister. We'll get there.
I'm putting all of it on the table. So a big asset is the Neponset River. Made to the EPA team back here. I've already made them part of my family.
All right.
Okay? And then the golf course. We listed some, what we thought were potential assets because we're making some assumptions. Here, the theater.
Yep.
The Y.
Yep.
Because we're talking about youth. We don't have a facility that's responsive to our youth, right? And the spray pond.
Yeah.
I'm really going down my list. I have to be more inclusive. Did you have anything else? The Muni, right here.
Yeah.
And I work out 2 days a week here. It's great. Because I'm going to win it. What's this one? Homes and Neighbors.
Wow, yes.
And we do have a preponderance of schools, mostly charters, but we may think about schools differently as well, because there's something called public education.
Language diversity.
Language diversity.
Yes.
I think that's good.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Next table.
Go Maryland.
Let's do it. You got it. You got this. I'm sorry.
So our table came up with, we have a social thing. Public transportation, history, access, unity and diversity, and location.
Amen. Love it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Right here, front. Yes.
Good morning. Sorry I can't stand. Our assets are the commuter rail stations, proximity and parking, the African American history with the 54 Regiment, parks and local restaurants and businesses, the YMCA, and it's a canvas for the imagination.
Nice. Nice. I like that one.
That's what we should have.
I like that one. I like that
Where should
one.
I go next door?
Yep, right there. John's stick. Barbara?
Barbara Hamilton, East York Street Neighborhood Association, Hyde Park resident in the family since 1912. And so what does Hyde Park have to offer? Lots. I wrote a strong sense of community, which we're gathered here today, and green trees and backyards, and we want to keep of course, the Neponset River was also mentioned, the River Theater Works, Schools, commuter rail, buses, woodland areas, people, music, and arts and growth. And that's all our table offers.
All right, I love it, love it. Thank you. Our last table right here in front, please.
Hi, I am Mary. I believe that Hyde Park has everything.
All right,
Oh my God, we got everything. We got schools, churches, beautiful natural areas, good restaurants, supermarkets, easy transportation. We have gyms, golf course, a lot of beauty salons, ladies.
Thank you, thank you. So, if we look at our assets, and we just mentioned a few, obviously, if we did this exercise for the whole day, we'll probably come out with a list of 100. But if we look at these assets from the point of view, how do we leverage these assets to address where we could do better? If we look at these assets from the point of view, this is like building a home where we decide that we want to expand our home to add another room. We first start off with what are the assets we have to make that possible, right? We don't start off by saying we can't do that room because we don't have. We start off by saying we can do the room because we have X, Y, and Z available to us to add that room to the home we're building. So the asset building exercise is one, not to think about our community from deficits, but to think from our community of what are the assets, what is the vision we have for our community, what do we need as a plan to make that vision a reality, and who are the people we need in place to make that plan function. So it's a vision, which is hopefully what we are creating and continuing to create here. It's asset building, knowing what the assets are that we have in hand. It's a plan, and who are the right people to make this plan happen. And I think if we look at it from that perspective, it's more than appropriate that the person who's going to address it this moment is our mayor. Because if there's someone who has some of those assets available for us to leverage, it's the city of Boston, in conjunction with our elected city councilors and our state reps and senators and the congressional delegation. But it's also all of us who make these assets rise to make sure that we uplift the things that we have. We mentioned we're in the Mooney building. So when you think about the Boston Center for Youth and Families and their engagement with youth and families, what's the perspective? How is it being done to leverage those young kids that we spoke about before so they can put their hands in the ground and know about the earth and what it produces as far as sustainability via food? What does it add to the table if they have a program that says all of our children should know how to swim? What does it add to the table if we have a program that says every single kid, from the moment they can, should learn how to ride a bike? What does it add to the table if we say, you know what, they should know about arts and culture? And what does it add to the table if we say, and they should be physically active? So the assets that make that possible, in many ways, we're fortunate to have a mayor who sees those visions as a reality of what we can do. So will you please welcome, and I want to mention Isaac Yablo, where are you?
Yay!
Say hello to that young man right there. If you don't know him, get to know him. Get to know him. Isaac, tell him what you do, real quick, loud.
Serve the community in the capacity of the mayor's office and make us all safe.
There you go. Maria, is that your name? Get to know that young man. All right, get to know him. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome this morning, we are so honored that the mayor is with us and has joined us, the Honorable Michelle Wu.
Good morning, Hyde Park. You see, this is Senor Masso on a Saturday. I I could have upped it a little bit if I knew I was going to be following him on the program. But I've had a full day already. First, there was the first day of getting the kids all, where's their soccer shin guards and everything to get out the door, and then the other game, and then now out, able to have some time with community and the best part of this job. So I just want to say thank you, because as you heard, we at the city are really trying to move forward wherever we can with a mantra of we don't need to settle. We don't need to settle for just surviving as communities. And there's a lot out there now. Every corner of our city, there's still tremendous stress. And the issues we all can run through around housing affordability and jobs and transportation and education. We are focused on making sure that the city is doing everything possible on all those fronts. But as you heard, our goal is also to move the conversation beyond just how do we make sure you don't get displaced? How do we make sure you don't have a flood or a storm come and destroy all of our property? Let's focus on what the ideal is, what the assets are in our community, what the dreams are in our community, and then how to build beyond that so that when we talk about kids, it's not just about excellent schools. That is the baseline. I will use every ounce of energy that I have as a mom with kids in the Boston Public Schools, with our allies and partners on the city council and the school committee and the school department to make sure that we are going to lead the country on public education. But the conversation cannot stop at just what we think about checking the box for kids, right? It is about how do we make sure they are plugged into everything that is possible for them to grow in the city. Ride a bike, swim, arts, sports, get your hands dirty in the dirt. That is our promise to families in Boston. If you're raising your kids here, they're gonna get everything they need to be happy, healthy, whole people. And that's the approach we're trying to take in every area. How do we make sure that we're creating more housing that's, yes, affordable, actually affordable for people who live in our communities now, but also building communities, having spaces that are possible for multi-generational families to stay together, for kids to be in a space that's not just one bedroom, but has the space that a family needs, is connected to green space nearby and the energy efficiency so that you're not having to spend all your money paying utilities because your building is so energy efficient. There's everything that we do, we want to think of as interconnected. And that is why I believe that neighborhoods are really the foundational building block in Boston. Neighborhoods are where you get the chance to look across every one of these issues and how they are part of a fabric. Sometimes I will say, people are like, oh, our democracy, everything is at risk, what do we do? I've always said, I think the lowest hanging fruit, the fastest thing you can do to spark saving our democracy, as sometimes dramatic as that sounds, is having a block party. Because when you can get people together who look different from each other, who might worship differently from each other, who might vote differently from each other, but who have a stake in the same sense of place, of community, that is how you get to this. And so, we are, the data show, okay, and I'm also only supposed to be here for a minute, I'm on my soapbox, I'm gonna step right down. The data shows that one of the biggest differences between 30, 40 years ago and now is that one, our society is more segregated than ever. Not just by race, but by educational, by degree of education that families have had, by socioeconomic background. Our kids 30, 40 years ago used to be exposed to a whole wider range of people because our neighborhoods used to be much more multi-income, multi-generational, multi-racial. The other big difference is that we know our neighbors far less now, in general. I'm not saying Hyde Park. In general, across everything in this country, people used to spend, on average, multiple evenings a week hanging out with their neighbors. They had the time to do so because the pay scales and inflation weren't what they are now, and you didn't have to feel like you need to work 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. They also didn't have the sort of electronic handcuffs of the iPhone and everything keeping you attached sometimes to your job or everything else. And there was just a sense of more knowing your neighbors means greater trust, means greater dreaming, means greater action collectively. And so I think the only place that we can solve what we're seeing across the country right now, a huge sense of division and mistrust and conspiracy theories, all the things that is so exhausting to read about that lead to horrible outcomes. The only place we can solve that and rebuild that trust back is at the local level, is at the block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, city level. And so I am so grateful because Hyde Park is just an example of, if block parties are step one, you all are at the kind of supercharged, how do we take this into our own hands level? And we at the city want to be there to amplify and empower that. Our changes to sometimes these things don't get attention as much as big flashy announcements, but the changes we're trying to make to the zoning code, to the BPDA, to the ways that our community grows based on whether we plan together or whether we think about it just one by one, segregated and separated, that is going to be the building block of how we get the entire city to have the conversations that you're having in this room today. So please keep at it. Please hold us accountable at the city level for supporting what you are building and dreaming of today, because we need to follow your lead in this, and we need Hyde Park to continue to be the role model for so many across the city. So thank you so much for being here today. I want to just shout out again, you have some fierce, powerful advocates at every level in this community as well, who are from and know and love this community. So I want to thank Ruthie and Brandy also for all that they do.
Thank you, Mayor Wu. So, those of us can remember FUBU. You know what FUBU stands for? For us, by us. What's it stand for? For us, by us. For us, by us, about us. So I think the message for today is that you are representing your neighbors in your neighborhoods so that what Hyde Park becomes is for us, and it's by us, and it's about us.